believe that. Anyway, as it states here, we are going 0 to hero Arma free modding tutorial, and this is basically what we will be doing. A tutorial for you people. I do assume you have some basic understanding of Blender, maybe, or if not, you can learn it, no problem. Even if you don't, just don't expect your models to be 10 out of 10. You're gonna learn it. That's actually something it's quite simple to learn. It's basically a matter of practice, so and time and effort. Basically, time and effort. Anyway, let's do this. You want to start somewhere. If you want to make a asset for a mod, let's say for the 40k mod, because I'm a part of the 40k team of the There Is Only War mod dev team, and I'm doing this mostly for people interested in helping the team by creating their own assets and basically making the development faster. So to do that, you have to have an idea. You have to have an idea what the hell you want to do. And for me, I think there are like two ways of doing it. I mean, of finding an idea to do. One is something that really excites you, and the other one is something that the dev team will really appreciate. Because the first one, something that excites you, is basically you will get really motivated when, for example, you very much like, I don't know, Valhallans, like the Imperial Guard regiment, and you look at the models and you basically start touching yourself. Therefore, you want to do some Valhallan stuff, and that's actually what we'll do here, because that seems quite simple. And as you create the assets, you will see that your skill develops. The assets that you're making are better and better, and it actually starts looking. And at some point, you might even think that, hey, this actually might be in the game one day in the mod. So that's really motivating. And the feeling that your favorite Imperial Guard regiment, basically your favorite piece of Warhammer 40k lore probably, will be in the game and it will be created by you. It's a great feeling, I think. So I'm sure it will motivate a lot of you. And the other thing is that the dev team might need some help with certain things. We might have some simple assignments to give to people to practice, because, well, the devs know what assets are simple to make, and people with no experience won't have such a good understanding of that. Therefore, you can just go and ask, or say you can say that, I'm a little bit interested in this and that, and maybe I can help you with something, and they're probably one of the devs, maybe me, maybe Panzer, maybe somebody else, will tell you, hey, you can try and make this. This will be useful. And now the motivation is basically that you're helping the dev team. There will be always somebody to help you with that, because the dev team is also wants to have this asset in the game, and basically if you can feel that it's not that far away. I mean, the moment when your first model or one of your first models actually becomes part of the mod, and it also can be quite motivating for people. Yeah, and I honestly go with the first one. I mean, I do the things that are mostly the most exciting for me, and that's how I started actually modding Arma. But anyway, let's go with the first approach. Let's go to the Games Workshop site. Go to the 40k and let's take a look. What do we want to do? Like, we are very excited about something. Let's say we are very excited about Gene-Stealer Cults. Are we excited about them? No, we're not. We're looking for some nice headgear, basically. So let's go to what did I say? Yep. Let's take a look at those guys. There is some nice headgear on them, but it seems that it'll be quite a lot of work for a tutorial. Let's find something else. It's basically what you also want to do. Hello. Rock grinder. What the fuck is rock grinder? Okay, I know what is a rock grinder. Anyway, you want to take a look at something simple for the start, because you don't want to. I mean, you probably can still be motivated by, for example, trying to make this thing. It's Imperial Knight. It's called, I think. Yeah, I do believe it's called like that. And it is a huge project. It takes a lot of time, and I wouldn't advise starting with something such big. I would go with something small, like a headgear. Headgear, which we'll be doing today, is basically the simplest thing you can do. The bandana of the jungle fighters. Okay, I like it. Okay, those guys are called, I think, Katachan? Yeah, nailed it. So what I'm doing here is I'm looking for inspiration for some good sources. Because you basically never want to work without a source picture, something you can basically base your model on. It's also good practice. If you have like an idea for something, take a pen and draw it, and then you will have some understanding how big is it, where to start the modeling. If you had it only in your head, it's not as simple. Making it on the as a model in Blender, it's much easier to draw it first and then start modeling in Blender. Yeah, but I think bandana is quite simple thing. I like this picture. Maybe I will take a look at it a couple more times later on, but yeah, let's start with the modeling part. So we go to Blender. Blender is free, so you can just type into Google, I want Blender, and it will give you Blender. You want to save it as a nice name somewhere in your work folder. Let's save it here. Let's call it Bandana. And now, as we are making headgear, you want a head. You want to base your model on something. It's easier to create a bandana on the head rather than just in the air. Therefore, you have to go to your Steam. In Steam, go to your library, to the tools. In the tools, you can try and find Arma free samples. And that's what you want to have. You download it, and then the samples magically appear on your PC or laptop, or basically on your workplace or work device, whatever. And you want to import it. Also, one very important thing before actually starting your adventure with Blender, I mean, not with Blender, Blender is alright, but with Arma free modding, you have to set up your P drive. And your P drive is basically a drive that is, let's say here, but it's actually somewhere here. Anyway, it's a virtual drive, so basically you take a piece of your drive and you create like another partition there, but it's on D drive. But for the better understanding of the software and basically for the Arma to compile the files, you have to create the P drive. You will go nowhere without the P drive set up, and to do it, you just go to YouTube, you just search how the hell do I set up a P drive, and you will see a very, very, very nice video by a woman that speaks extremely fast, but after listening her a couple of times, you will probably understand her, and you can set it up with her. You can set it up with anybody else without YouTube. You can also do is just basically fucking do it. Doesn't matter how you do it, just set it up and make it good. Also, in those tutorials, they will tell you to download Arma free tools for Blender, which is basically Arma free tool for Blender. You Google it, Arma toolbox for Blender. That's how it's called. You download it and install it. The instructions are very simple. I'm sure you will get it. You need that, because this is what actually makes half of the work for you. So you really want to have that. Otherwise, you will have to work in this abomination, and this abomination is something that you want to avoid at all costs. It's disgusting, it's ugly, the controls are shitty, everything is bad about it, and that's because it's made by Bohemia Interactive. So, but we're gonna use it anyway, but just for a tiny little bit. Okay, so you've got a P drive set up, and you've got an idea. Okay, let's start with the first thing. You've got an idea, then you have the P drive set up, and then you have the toolbox for Blender, and then you have some motivation. That's also very useful, but basically the three things, idea, P drive, and toolbox is what you need, and obviously Blender. But yeah, so you go there, then you get the samples. You can do it without samples, but that's very difficult and you wouldn't do that. You want to import it, and you want to import it in the P3D file extension. The P3D is basically what Bohemia Interactive uses to save the models created in Object Builder, this ugly abomination. And you want to import that. You want to import the head from the P3D file in the samples folder you've just downloaded. So you go to your Steam directory, and okay, so this is Steam directory. There is Arma samples there. Yeah, this is Steam directory. You go to Arma free samples. You go to add-ins, and you go to template, and then you go to bust. Bust is basically a head. Why isn't it called head? Because it's called bust, don't ask me. And you've got the head. This head is very nice to use because it's exactly in the position you want it to be. It's exactly how it is in the engine. You'd never want to do that. Don't move it, just leave it alone. And you've got your head. Oh, okay, one important thing. You can import P3D files only if you've got the Arma free toolbox installed. Otherwise, the Blender has no idea what the hell is P3D, so you wouldn't be able to do that. Okay, you've imported a head, but you've also imported memory points, which are those little nice vertices. Let's delete them and just say fuck you. Vertices, we don't like you. These are memory points that basically describe the eyeball movement, and we don't really give a shit about it. They also are used to verify the player's view. But we don't give a shit about it because the head is a head and it will stay where it always is, and we are only making the headgear. If you wanted to make a custom head, you will have to take a look at those memory points. But like a lot of times you wouldn't, you will never do that because who'd bother? Even if you're making custom org head, probably the memory points will stay the same place where they are, just to make life easier. Because you really want to make life easier in Arma. Anyway, now you want to make a bandana. Basically, bandana is a piece of cloth wrapped around the head. So it's gonna be shaped like a head. So let's just take a piece of head. I assume you've got some understanding on Blender, so I wouldn't be explaining this much about the technical stuff here. The basic things. For example, how to select stuff. Anyway, I've selected this this loop. I want to double it, so it's Shift D, and I want to make it a separate selection. So now it's here, and the head is separate thingy. I would like to scale it up a bit, extrude it, it looks retarded, I know, it will be better, don't worry. just move it around, scale it up a bit, so it will be roughly what we want. Okay, first thing we can see here is, why the hell is that gray and this is like bluish gray, and this is like, no, pale gray, and this has like some different color? That's because the normals are inverted. Yes, the normals are basically it's a way of describing which way this face is facing. Yes, basically the direction of this face, because the face can be only looking one way. So imagine this plane has only one side. It's like a Venetian mirror, I think it's called like that, or Venetian glass. Basically a mirror that on one side it's a mirror and on the other side it's transparent. So it's like exactly like that. On one side it is mirror, so it will have some texture on it, and from the other side it's transparent. And basically in Blender, those bluish, grayish parts are where the plane, the face is transparent. For example, if you take a look inside the head, it is bluish and grayish compared to the outside. We can flip it, so now it's bluish on the outside and grayish on the inside, but we don't want to do that. And this is really something you don't want to have. You want to have all the faces facing the same way, because, for example, let's say you've got those couple vertices inverted, so they go to the inside, and basically you'd have a transparent spot here. You don't want to have that. You fix it by selecting the mesh and pressing Ctrl N to recalculate normals. Blender is smart enough to understand what's going on, and Blender will do it basically automatically. Alright, so let's stop the VPN because that might possibly cause some lag. Okay, we are here. Let's take a look at the Katachan. We want to take a look where basically the headband starts and where it ends. Can't find any. Okay. His head is enormously big. Okay, it's basically halfway through and it's quite straight, you can see. It's not curved like ours, it's very straight. So let's make ours straight. Okay, looks better. It looks very edgy, doesn't it? To make something look less edgy, go to smooth. Yeah, in the tools, you want to be in the object mode, not in the edit mode, but that's the basic stuff, so no need to explain, I think. Okay, let's give it some shape, extrude it. I want to extrude it inside. You can see that once again the faces are inverted, and there we go, fixing it. Okay, now it's time to fit it to the head. We want to use some area selection tool. Yeah, now it's better. For the style, we're just giving it a basic, very basic, I'm sorry for that. Very basic thing. Shape. I think it can go a bit more down here. Right. I think this will do. Probably we can... Yeah, no, what's the issue? It's too too thin here and too thick here. So we want to scale it this way, scale it this way. I'm basically just selecting loops and scaling them with S button and then pressing X, Y, or Z to scale them alongside, along one of the axes. Okay, doesn't matter, it looks quite good. Now, just to make it look less edgy, we select the loop, press Ctrl B to bevel. Quite alright. Still not perfect here though. Okay, now we can give it some more shape. I'm just doing very, very simple loop cuts and extruding them a bit, scaling them up and down a bit. This part here is too edgy. If something looks too edgy, you can just add some loop cuts and make it look much more smooth, quite simply. Like that. Also, the head is quite edgy, if you take a look at it, but that's not gonna be an issue. Alright. This part can also go a bit further to the front. No. It's not looking very good. Up near. Stop. This bump here looks very bad. Anyway, it's not that much of an issue. Now let's just move some of those vertices, so make it a bit more irregular. Also, one thing here, it basically goes through, if you take a look at it. So we want to scale it up a bit, not everything, only this part. Maybe add another one here. Yeah. Basically, okay, how many vertices do we have? We've got 360 verts, which is not quite much, but we don't want to go too high on it. Headgear can be up to 5,000, I think. Or even 10,000 probably, but let's not do that, because that's just a simple bandana. We want to keep the mesh optimized. I think it could be a bit more optimized. We can delete possibly this or merge a couple vertices here, but it doesn't really matter because we are just making a simple thingy and it wouldn't be that visible. Therefore, we'll leave it like that to save some time on this tutorial. It basically is dependent on you how much detail you want to have and how much you don't want to have. We're gonna make a simple high poly later on. Now we're just gonna make a knot. I think it's knot. Well, I'm not sure. I'm almost sure that there is better way of naming that. If you take a look here, it's like a triangular shape from side. So let's go with a triangular shape. Something like that. Make it smaller. We also want to make it go there. And a bit further. The edge here is quite unnatural, so let's go like this. I think it should all go down because it was like a V shape. We don't want to see that. It would, I mean, it would look unnatural. We can bevel it on all sides and make it smooth. And make it, god damn it. Now I have to figure it out. Okay, more round on the top. More like that, but that's obviously not everything we wanna do. Yes, I'm back. I'm sorry, I was AFK for a second. I was invited. I think that it's roughly should be something roughly like this. Obviously, if you want to be like perfect on it, you will have to. I think maybe having 2 of them is what you wanna have. No, it still looks bad for some reason. It looks very bad. God damn it. I remember I did it once and it was looking quite well for the tower. Maybe I can nick it. Let's take a look. Let's make our life easier. Let's not create new thing when we've created it. It was probably here, no, not here. Oh, no. Oh, yep, here. It is in G number 3B. Yes. Yes, it is. Where are you? There you are. Don't judge me, okay? I'm just a bit lazy. Just a bit. Just for you to enjoy it more, so I wouldn't spend too much time fighting with this little piece. I'm sure there is a somewhere there is a tutorial which describes how to create such thing, but it's not time for it, isn't it? I just want to make sure there is no weird glitches. Okay, it feels like it should be more this way in this case if we are going for this kind of knot. Yeah, so it's more to the like facing more down. Anyway, that doesn't really matter. Okay, let's continue. We're gonna take a piece of this, double it once again, copy paste. As I said, I'm not describing much of technical things regarding Blender here, because internet is full of those and you will get used to Blender quite quickly as you start working with it. And I just want to get to the point where we actually are doing something Arma related. Give it just a little bit more natural shape, I mean irregular shape. Alright, something like this. Let's copy paste it right in here. Make it look a bit less alike. To wedge A. And this one is nice to short. It would be a dishonor to a counterchamp to have such a short bandana, whatever. Yeah, it's better. It should also go a bit more to the yep, let's give it a more curve. Alright, I think the modeling part is done for now. I mean, it's not the best, it's simple and I think it's alright for now. Congratulations, you are done with the first part of it. Creating a model. A simple model, yes. It doesn't have to be very detailed, because that's not the point, because it's a low poly model. We have 564 vertices, which is alright, which is quite good for this asset. And what you want to do now? Important things start. You've got a model, you've got a head, you've got the model placed on your head properly, and you haven't moved this. So, you name it bandana. And then you want to select everything, press Ctrl A, and Ctrl A. You are resetting location, rotation, and scale. You have to click all of them. You can go with rotation and scale, and then location. Doesn't matter, you have to do all three of them. If you don't, it will break. Because we had we have this object, and it has some scale. We can scale it up, but Blender understands that this thing is actually scaled up. To check it somewhere. Here, this is the scale. The Blender knows that is 1.39 of the original size, and when you export the object from Blender, it exports it in the original size. So let's say, for example, you've got this bandana, you've created it from some parts. Let's say you were working on it earlier without the head, and then you just brought the head into the Blender, and then you've scaled it down, and you basically leave it like that, and then you save it, and then suddenly it appears that bandana is just here and it's huge. That's because it always resets. I mean, doesn't reset the scale. It exports in the scale 1, so it will export it basically almost like this. I mean, it will go to 1, so it will export it like this, even though here you can see it's bigger or smaller on something. Anyway, you have to reset it. If you don't reset it, then it's gonna export in the... You've got like 90% chance it will go badly. And it's also something that it's worth remembering. If you export your headgear to Arma, and for some reason it's too big or too small or in the wrong position, is because you did not reset the location, rotation, and scale. You can see actually when I scale it up and reset the scale, it changes back to 100. I want to revert everything now. Alright. Scale, rotation, the end. That's very, very, very important. What do you want to do now? You want to UV map it. Actually, you don't really need the head. You can turn it off or delete it. What we're going to do now is UV mapping. UV mapping is basically creating, telling Blender where we will put the textures on the texture file. We want to create... I'm gonna do it manually, because when you don't do it manually, you're gonna end up like one of our friends in the dev team with his very splendid UV map, which was basically 99% nothing and 1% actually texture. I will explain in a second. Another thing that you want to do. It's a quite advanced thing, but you can see, for example, here there is a face. I've just created it, but it wasn't here. But let's assume it was here. It's obscured. There is no way you can see it, so you don't want it. You want to delete it. Accent faces. The same goes for basically for the inside of the bandana. You should delete it, but it's possible that... Yeah, the main problem is that when this will be lying on the ground, there will be no head, and you can see through those, see through here. So you don't want to do that, because it will look just stupid. But otherwise, if you have any parts of your model concealed by something, you don't really need anyone to delete them. For example, here, let me just hide it. Those couple vertices faces can be... No, okay, not all of them, but those can be deleted. But let's not do that, because that's just unnecessary. I'm speaking about, you know, big faces that are really concealed, and preferably they are not part of the, like, a flat mesh. Oh, actually, okay, let's do it. Let's do it because I told you to delete it, so just let's go for it. It might cause some problems later, but if we have those problems, it's even better, because I will tell you how to fix problems. I also feel like this should go like here. I'm just giving it some more irregularity and making sure it looks a bit more natural. Those are minor things, you will see those mistakes. That's not really important for a matter of this tutorial. Anyway, we are here. We did the we've added some seams. We press U and unwrap it. And let's see what happens. I will explain now what happened and what I was doing. There we have the texture. Basically the texture map. What you want to do is okay, as you saw, I've opened this window, which is UV image editor, and it will show you how your UV map looks like. You want to open this right hand panel and press stretch to see how stretched are the parts. Basically, blue is good, green is bad. The most stretched the parts are would basically look bad on the texture. It would just look stretched, straightforward. So you don't want to do that. Let's see why are those happening. If you click here, you can actually take a look at those parts where the stretch is happening. Right. One way of fixing stretches is triangulating. For example, here, if I triangulate and unwrap, it fixes itself. But you never want to triangulate too quick. You have to make sure your model is absolutely ready before you triangulate. Right, I've added some more, and this is empty space and this is texture, and you don't want to have that. You want to have as much texture as you can on the I mean, you don't want to have empty space, because either case there will be something here on this texture and people will I mean, the engine will load it, will load this empty space for no reason. So you want to, okay, let's say, I think the model is basically done, so let's unwrap it, triangulate it and unwrap it. Those, I really don't like those edges here. I think one way of fixing them is just adding some seams. Yeah, it's a bit better, but I think we will have to live with that. What you want to do now with such a bizarre looking texture is either cutting this in half, but you don't want to cut this in half because, as you probably know, you never want to see seams where they are not supposed to be. Okay, that sentence made no sense. On the flat surfaces, you don't want to see seams because it will be very visible. It will look unnatural, and you can just go and check out how to UV map stuff, because it's internet is full of tutorial about it. And this tutorial is not about UV mapping; it's about getting stuff to Arma. I would suggest taking a look at this texture set and basically resizing stuff manually. So let's say you can take it diagonally and have some more quality on that, because the bigger things are on these on the set, the better quality they will have in game. Okay, that's very simple, very quickly done. with such simple assets, I would suggest making, let's say, 3 different versions of the bandana and putting them all together on one texture set and making them 2K. I mean, one 2K texture set with 3 different versions of like color or model different. Basically, make them different and put them on one texture set, and they will fit and they will look good. Because like 2K for this little bandana with this kind of UV map is a bit of overkill. But let us not think about it. Let's delete one I've copied for by accident. Okay, so we've made it. We've got the model and we have it UV mapped. What we want to do now is save it. We can save it as bandana underline low. We want to name it bandana underline low. Want to make sure there is only one material. So delete all the materials, create a new one. We want to delete the head because we won't need it anymore. Make sure the scale rotation is reset. Material, the name of the material doesn't matter much, but you might want to change it just to keep track of your textures later on. Okay, it's bandana low, save. It's important to have this name here with the underline low. I will explain later. Let's save it as bandana. Hi! Yes! And let's make it bandana high. Bandana. Whatever. Now what we wanna do is subdivide it. And subdivision is, yes, the disgusting triangulated mesh being subdivided. Yes. Alright. What we are doing now is basically we are trying to get some of these sweet details on the bandana. And subdividing is basic. Okay, you should know what subdividing is. I won't explain it because we want to go forward. I tend to work with sculpting in Blender. Let's go with 3 just to save some time on rendering. Let's go to sculpting mode. Let's subtract. Make it a little bit smaller. And let's keep adding those good old creases here. No worries, we're gonna smooth it a little bit when I'm done. Okay, symmetry, we don't need you anymore. Yeah, basically. I'm just adding some irregularities. They don't look very good now, but they will look better. And here I think it will go like just this way, this way. Okay, this mesh is very badly designed, so it will be problematic to sculpt. But this is one thing that you have to keep in mind while doing it. I'm just doing a quick sculpt, so don't judge me. Now I'm just gonna make it less strong and bigger. There we go. Okay, it's good enough for a simple model. It should be better. I should put more work into it. For example, getting this on the inside also. Okay, let's do it on the inside because maybe the model will be used in the game one day. So let's not half-ass it as much as one could do it. Subtract. Okay, that didn't really help. So now it's time for the queries tool. Something is wrong. Okay, you can see it here. The mesh is much denser here than it is here. Yes, that's because it's my mistake. I wasn't really expecting to be meshed here. Therefore, adding any detail on this surface it's quite difficult. But okay, this will have to work. It's not really that important. We can just now go and add some, make it a bit more edgy because it will basically the more edgy, the sharper the creases, the material feels thinner, and the more round they are, the thicker the material looks more thick. Yes, it took me a lot of time to construct this sentence, I know. Just adding those creases here and there to make it look okay. It feels better, and the magic is gonna happen very soon. Okay, got this. Let's stick with it. Let's save it. And now, let's do the magic thing, which is exporting to FBX file. Let's keep the name, but then I export it somewhere so we wouldn't lose it. Alright. Now we have to actually go back. I will use this window. Let's go back to bandana low. And export it also as FBX bandana low FBX. Okay, so what we did was we've imported the head, we've created a model which fitted the head, we've reset the scale because it's very important, rotation and location, it's also very important, and then we've UV mapped it, we've created a high poly model based on the low poly model. Why? Let me tell you. We go to the substance paint. What the hell is substance paint? Well, you'll basically, at some point when you create model, you will think to yourself, hey, that is quite gray, I don't want it gray, let's make it red. And then you're gonna go like, hey, it's red now. And then you're gonna be a bit disappointed because, hey, where is the detail? Where is the shading? Where is the dirt? And all that stuff. And yes, you can do it just basically by hand. But you can also give people money and people will give you Substance Painter, and the Substance Painter will do the work for you. Basically, Substance Painter 2 is $20 a month, I think. Product, Substance Painter, okay, here it is, normal buy. Basically, you've got the free 30 days for free. You definitely don't want to use it right when you start modeling. You want to get a bit better in your model work. You have to be very responsible with that 30 days or for free. Because it's gonna impact like how do you approach the software. And then you basically, after the time you go to, you probably would like, it's not necessary, it's very important, I didn't say that. It's not necessary, it's or obligatory. You don't, like Arma and Substance Painter don't like work together. They are not like things that are connected, and without Substance Painter you can add the textures. You can do them in Paint, you can do them in Photoshop. My friend was doing like very nice textures in Photoshop, but then he went to Substance Painter, and this is the shit. I mean, the software is $20 a month. That's quite much, I know, but the textures are fucking good. I mean, it's very simple to use. It's nicely documented. I mean, it's easy to learn it, and it creates very, very nice textures. So you probably would like to get it, but it's not necessary. And one point that I wanted to make is that a lot of devs in the There Only War dev team have the Substance Painter already, and they really like using it. So it's quite common thing in this dev team that if you have a model, you can give it to somebody else to texture, because texturing is just a little part, like modeling is just a little part of the whole big process which takes like very, very long time to create things. Like for a weapon, you have to spend quite some time on the configs and on the balancing thing, making the model obviously, but the texture is like the shortest part of it, I think. I mean, if you want to make a very good texture, it would take more time, but yeah, basically it's thing that you can possibly do. So if you are somebody that wants to start Blender and wants to help dev team, you don't have to buy Substance Painter. You can make the model, make the config, do everything for the model so it will work in game, and only leave the texture to somebody in the dev team, and it will be a lot of help. I mean, a lot of help. Because texturing is also fun, so people will really like to help you, because it's as fun as making models, basically. So I mean, some people prefer one thing, the others prefer the other. Right, let's get back to where we started. We are a Substance Painter, okay? I've got my Substance Painter. I've had it for like half a year now. I'm really satisfied. And now I will show you why we made those two separate models, which one is high poly and another is low poly. We want to create new project. Let's mesh. We want to start with low. 2K. Let's start with 2K. I mean, let's go with 2K. Basically, most of textures you will do for Arma will be 2K. Resolution. You can go for 4K for tanks, for example, or very, very big buildings, but wouldn't advise that. Just go for 2K or smaller. I mean, the grenades in 2K a bit useless, but you can like have 5 grenades on one 2K or texture. All right, it's basically about optimization, and you will get used to it. It's not a problem. Okay, we've got bandana. And how do we texture it? We go to Smart Materials. Panzer. Wouldn't a few 2K sections be better for a tank, and then 4K, like if you say had 3 2K sections? Yeah, probably. I mean, I think there is basically no difference between 2 2K and one 4K. No, actually, it's like one 4K is equal to 4 2K, if you think about it, because it's 4x4, and which transfers to 4 textures, 4 squares 2x2. Anyway, I've seen it done in Ironfront mod. I mean, on some other submods for Ironfront, where people were actually making time on one 4K map instead of couple 2K ones. But on the other hand, in my World War II mod, we are using 3 2K sections actually. So I think it's just up to devs. But as I said, if you're not making tanks, you just go for 2K or lower. Anyway, we are in smart materials. We want to take a look at them, and there should be something like fabric. We don't want stretchy, we don't want superhero, we don't want bubbly aged, we maybe want a burlap? Burlap? But I don't know. I am not a native speaker, give me a break. We don't want a fiberglass. Like, where the fuck is like a very basic fabric? Okay, there it is. Fabric rough, aligned. I mean rough, not knitted sweater. Okay, let's go with knitted sweater. Let's make a sweater hoodie. I mean sweater bandana. Yay! Lovely, isn't it? I would like to see a render now. I thought it would be better. There we go. Armor free, ready. No, okay. Let's get back. We don't want it to be a sweater. We want it to be fabric, rough, the end. Yes. Up in here, we go to... Yes. I think there was this little nice option where you can actually align them, the fibers properly, which was probably somewhere here. Not here. See technical parameters, normal height position. No, we don't want to touch that. There we go. Rotation. Okay, so we just wanna make sure these. I haven't thought about it actually when making the UV map. I mean, making to get these. How do you call them? Yeah, those, you know, threads and shit, those lines going proper way, you know. UV or 3-planar projection, I always do UV. We got it. What we wanna do now? I wanted to show you this. Let's go with red, obviously, because we're going to make red bandana. There we go. Okay, it's somewhat underwhelming. Oh, this is the red we want. Even more red now, okay. Let's stick with this. Okay. The fabric, I think it's too big. I mean, nope. Yeah, I want to make it smaller. Alright. So now we have the model and it's alright, but hold on, we've made the nice and really astonishingly looking high poly model. Where is it? Where is it gone? I want to see it. Let's do it. Let's bake it. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna bake it so it would look like it, but it would be a different model. I will explain in a second. Just give me just take a look at it. Just take a look. Okay, never mind. Mistake. We want to bake. What do we want to bake? We want to bake the high. Let's do it. It's bacon. It is bacon. And it has been baked. Well, probably you cannot see much difference here, but I'm sure you can see some difference here. At this point, what we're gonna do now is add some detail. I mean, add some texture detail to it. Anyway, what happened was we had this. Oh shit! I didn't want to do that. And let's go back to white. Yes. We had this. And we had this, and I've basically made this look like this by a normal map, which is this. Okay, I will just show you the preview of it. I hope that will be enough. As you can see, maybe here. Okay, I will just open another normal map so you can have a good understanding. What is that? Let's take a look at one of the what had okay, let's go with my World War II mode. Uniforms, summer, winter, data, and HQ. Okay, so take a look at that. You can probably imagine what's that. I mean, you can probably see that this is some sort of uniform. I mean, some sort of cloth. Without basically seeing the model or anything, you can just see the shading on it. And this is exactly what normal map is doing. It creates like a virtual shading on a surface which is relatively flat. I mean, yeah, this is basically flat. I mean, yeah, without the normal maps, without all those details, it would look flat. Like here, you can see this is like a piece of trousers, and like behind your knee, in the joint, you can see that it is fractured. And if we wanted to put that on the model, like on the actual model, which is in-game, it will take ages for the engine to understand it, I mean, to calculate it, because, for example, here, as I said, we've got 500 vertices, and here, in the highly detailed one, we have 40,000. So it's like, boom, 80,000 more times. Okay, I fucked something up. Anyway, a lot more. Yes, I'm not the best at math. All right, I'm a mechanical engineer, not a mathematician. Anyway, you can probably imagine what's the difference. So therefore, we're just gonna tell the game, I mean the graphic card, basically, like, hey, there is some fracture here, and there is some fracture here and here and here, and you know, it's like, it's still a simple model, but just make it look like it's not. That's what's high poly about. And as you probably can see, it is visible, but From far away it wouldn't be. Therefore we're gonna do something to make it more visible. And I'm just gonna do a couple very simple tricks that I do on the soft surfaces to make them look better. This is a very different story. I mean, completely different story. Like telling you how to use Substance Painter properly. I mean, properly, just as I use it. And this is not the point. Because, as I said, you can probably give it to somebody else to do. Best way I had normal maps being explained is like an optical illusion to make it seem like something is popping out. Yeah, exactly that. I want to add the filter and make a blur. Bleh. So my English is tremendous today. No, but not this. I want to add a filter here. Right. Okay, so what I did here is kind of shadow. It's not really a shadow because it's using a dirt generator, but it looks somewhat like a shadow. It's not ideal, but it's somewhat like you paint miniatures. You just get the wash or the darker paint in those areas that are more obscured, and it gives a very nice sort of illusion, because it's not perfectly good in terms of like lighting, but it looks very good. I mean, very good. It looks quite impressive, and it's alright. I just yes. I didn't know what I wanted to say. Anyway, and I'm going to do another thing that you would probably do if you are painting miniatures, which is highlighting with basically almost the same technique. Meaning, yeah, those highlights look bad, don't they? Therefore, let's add them some. No, not generate. Once again, blah blah. Why English? Why are you so difficult? How am I supposed to pronounce this word? Blah. God damn it. Some highlights. Maybe it's too bright. I think it's like not red enough. Yeah, those kinds of highlights. Really like it. Okay, that's too much. But you didn't thin your paint. How can you highlight that? The blur is the paint highlight. I mean the paint thinner. I know, I didn't do that. I'm sorry, Matt. I think his name is Matt, but yeah. Or maybe not now. What is his name? Because Matt was the guy who created Ultramarines and who is hated and loved at the same time. Well, anyway. Okay, we've got it textured. I feel like I have to do that. I really have to do one thing now. And this will be obviously adding some dirt to it, because dirt is always nice. Let's go with dirt. Let's go with black dirt, obviously, if not shiny. And there we go. I think we can make it a little less dirty. Yeah, I like it now. I don't like it now. This is too bright. Yeah. Duncan, yes, Duncan. That was his name. Anyway, we got it. We got to the point where we've got a model and a texture. That's quite nice, isn't it? What we're gonna do now is export it. How do you want to export it? You go to export textures and you select the material that you want to select, which is bandana. And you want to select a okay, I need to close one of those blenders because my RAM is running out. Probably text view also isn't necessary. Anyway, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna use a preset to export it, and now you can probably imagine, oh god, how do I create a preset? Where do I... Okay, blender quitting was a surprise for me today. Anyway, you are probably asking yourself, or asking me, where do you get the presets? You ask me for it, or you ask somebody else for it, and we'll give it to you, or you Google it. It shouldn't be like very easy task to Google it, but it's possible that you will find it after some time. And yeah, it's pretty much the same for every Arma asset. The preset should be the same. So I was really bothered that it's not really easily accessible. But anyway, I'm using this one, although I'm not using opacity, but yes. But I'm using the same one for every model. And hold on, what happens? Warnings! Oh my god, what are we gonna do now? Okay, let's see the warnings. Oh my god, the warnings. So it says we don't have the opacity and the specular and the glossiness channels. Well, this is true because here on the bottom we've got our channels, and we want to add opacity, specular and glossiness. Oh, yes. And we want to export the textures once again. There we go. Now it's gonna work. And now we've got this little nice set of textures. There are 4 of them. Why 4? I mean, we've created only one. Let me explain. First one, the most basic one, is the CA, which stands for color autism, probably. I am doing my best to open it but yeah, I will just save it and exit it because Substance Painter is really eating CPU, GPU, RAM and your soul at the same time. So you don't want to have it open for too long, and your wallet obviously. Okay, so CA stands for complete autism. And it looks like a complete autism. But if you look closely, you can see that here is our bandana, and here is the rest of our bandana, and those strange lines here are something applied by Substance Painter. Because why the hell not? You can turn it off, but you can leave it. I do believe it mip maps, okay, it's mip maps. I do believe it serves any purpose, like saving memory or something, or just preventing anybody from creating Easter eggs on the... No, it's not preventing. I have no idea what is it for, but it is here. Just leave it alone. God damn it. Let's just get back to it. Okay, so the first one I was going to describe was complete autism. The other one is orange. The other one is basically orange. Okay, I'm gonna show you how it looks on another asset because it's, or maybe on this one. Okay, Panzer here says that the game sometimes shrinks textures and you will get clear areas and bad seams in game. So the map maps stop that from being so visible. Oh, I got it. Anyway, SMDI is a map that tells the engine what is shiny and what is not. And if I remember correctly, the parts that are like very bright, very yellowish bright, are shiny. Those are, for example, buttons. So they are very shiny, and the rest of it is basically uniform, so it's not shiny. And the bandana is orange, which means not shiny. Now let's take a look at the NOHQ, which is the good old normal map, and the AS, which is actually, I remember that, it's absolute shit. No, it's ambient shadow, I think, but it's something shadow, or basically it describes shadow, so let's say it's ambient shadow, or artificial shadow maybe. Anyway, it's about shadow. It tells the game where the shadow is and where the shadow is not relative to the latest, to the sun or some other thing. So basically, if you don't have it, your texture will just basically go black in shadow and will go absolutely very, very bright colors in sun. Here you can see that everything will go bright in sun, but in shadow the darkest, the most purple parts will go the most black, and the rest will stay roughly only, I mean, tiny little bit darker, because that's how it works. It's not like you stand in shadow and you are black suddenly. It's very important map. If you don't have AS map, you have to have them. I mean, when I started making textures, mods and something, I thought to myself, this is bullshit. Well, I don't need AS or SMDI, and then suddenly my gray finished soldiers were absolutely black in shadow, and I was very, very sad about it, and I had a lot of issues, and I went to psychiatrist for like 2 months because of that. That's what Arma does to your mind. Yes, what I did was telling you a stupid story, which was apparently, I mean, surprisingly not true. But also I've cut those textures, and I want to create it. I want to create a okay, it's 40k tau. Let's leave it like that. Let's make a new folder on our, oh god, no, wait, new folder. Captain, or maybe it starts with C. Yes. Okay, we're going to create a folder named data, and bam, put it inside. Panzer says that Arma took his soul and his happiness, and he had to go to prison, and he's a weeaboo. Yes, he is. Weeaboo. I don't know how to pronounce it. Don't look at me like that. Anyway, now I can tell you a bit about the folder structure in Arma. You basically have you can do whatever you want with all those subfolders and all that stuff. Just do it as you think. But as you get to the end of the road, so let's say weapons, and then to the iron rifle, then we are at the end of the road. We're gonna put our model here, but then it's a good practice to create a data folder in the same folder where is your model, or the config files. Some people also put the model into data. It's basically just a habit of Arma-free models. If you do that, the people that you basically see on the street will look at you and know that you are a Arma-free modder, probably. So you got the data folder and you put all those things into the data folder, the textures you've created. You might think that, hey, why am I not applying this to the model, because I will do it in the disgusting object. No, I will not. I will do it here, but later. First, we have to tell Arma, hey Arma, this is actually a texture. This is not like some random object being here. This is actually a texture, because Arma 3 is using a custom texture format, which is PAA.PAA. And to create it, we have to go to our Arma 3 tools folder in our Steam folder, go to image to PAA, and launch the image to PAA graphical user interface, probably. And add the source directory. Well, we want to navigate to our Katachan data, and blam, here are the 4 textures that we've made. Let's click the process files and pray to the Dark Lord of Change to change them into PAAs. Because sometimes it will fail. Just in case. Okay, it looks like it's gonna work. If it fails, it's because you don't have access to the files. So you basically open a file and you edit it. It's in Polish, but you can probably understand that this is edit. You go to edit, which opens like an edit window, and then you save it as a copy. You give it a different name, and then the image to PA will convert it because you've created a new file and you've got access to it. It will happen if you send the files through, I think through Discord, not, but through SendSpace or Google Drive or something like this, because if you send files through there, they will get like protected. It's something that happened to me when I was working on my World War II mode. So just in case, if you ever happen to have that, that's the way to fix it. Okay, so what we did now, we've made the textures, actually 8 textures, and now what we want to do is to create a RV mat. Not IV map, like RV mat, which is RV material, which is also something that only Arma 3 has. And what you want to do is you probably want to go to something like helmets. Oh my god, characters, probably. Yeah, you can go to characters. I mean, you will have the folder A3 in your P drive if you set up it properly. Real virtuality material, that's what Panzer says. This is the RV mat. You're gonna navigate and snitch. You wanna nick the RV mat from somewhere else and modify it a bit. I've made it once in my life, and then I'm just copy-pasting the one that I already have, but for you, I'm just gonna find another one. Let's go to characters F, let's go to Blue 4 data, and open any file here. This is an RVMat file. Let's copy it and navigate back to our Katachan data, and bam. What we want to do now is rename it. I always rename it to the same way as I name my files. You want to copy the address of your folder as a text, and then there we are in the real virtuality material world. Material words. Yeah, it was a song like that, I think. Anyway, basically this tells the game, the graphical engine, how to operate with lightning on it. Like what to do with the shadows, what to do with lightning, or maybe it's very glossy, or maybe it's shiny, or maybe it's emitting some sort of light. Yes, you can make a Katachan bandana, which will be a basically firehouse. Yes. Firehouse. How do you call it? Oh my god! I think it was like a calc. Lighthouse. Yes, lighthouse. But we don't want to do that. We're just gonna stick with what is here because it's those things that are set up here will be basically alright for any sort of uniform because we've nicked it from a character, from some blue for uniform. So it's gonna be good. If you, for the weapons, you would probably like to take some different ones, and after some time you can take a look at the Arma 3 BI forums or Arma 3 wiki, somewhere. Really easily accessible. If you just Google Avimat, you can see some description on what are those. I know that emissive is basically how much something. How much light does it emit? Specular, obviously, it's how much does it shine. It's also very interesting because if, let's say, if you get like 500 here, it will shine green. It will be still red, but it will shine green. It looks horrible, but it will happen anyway. Now what we're gonna do? We're gonna tell Arma, hey, so we've created all those real nice textures, and then we've even converted it to PAA just for you, Arma. So now, Arma, please use them. And to tell Arma to use it, we have to fill the Avimat properly, and that's why we go here, we copy the address, and we paste it here. But it is very, very fucking important to delete this and this part, this little fucker here. You have to kill him, because if you don't, you will have errors, and you will have shitload of errors happening all over the place, and you will have no idea why. And here's the explanation. And for example, in config files, this little guy here, the slash here before the folder, should be, but in the Avimat should not. Go figure, Arma free. Okay, the first one is HQ. So you basically copy paste the directory to this file, to the NOHQ. Then you scroll down, you can see another one is here. And here you want to copy paste the directory of the AS, so the shadowy guy. So you'll just copy paste it and change this to AS because that's how it's named. Basically, the naming is defined by the preset in Substance Painter. Okay, Panzer is asking me something. You don't use Object Builder Matte Editor tool. I preferred it to the text editing. No, I don't. I didn't really know it exists, honestly. The last one is SMBI. Okay, so it should work now. And we did all that stuff to make our life easier, because now we are back here. We've got our bandana. We can now give it some color. First of all, we make it a Arma object. If you have the Arma add-on, Arma toolbox for Blender installed properly, you will see that. It is very important to specify the path here, but it's also described on the site where you will be downloading it. It's part of the installation, so you really want to do that. Anyway, click it. Oh my god. This cottage cheese, so good. As soon as you click that, you will see more options appearing here in the material tab. You have to set up a texture. Specify the texture. Let's navigate to where we have our textures on the P drive. Data, you want to select the PAA, not the PNG, the PAA. You should delete the PNG, but I left it because I feel very special feelings for it. Let's go with this one. Let's remember, first we go with the CEA, which is the complete autism, also known as color autism. And very important thing, you have to delete this thing. It will appear, but if you don't delete it, the compiling software will go crazy. This is Arma for you. And the second thing you want to select is RV mount. It even says here, every material. Once again, you have to delete this part. Very fucking important, really. Yep. You can save it, why not? And now, let's name it to number 1. Because this is number 1. And this is number 2. And what am I doing? I am making a LODs. So basically, a LOD is a level of detail, I do believe. Maybe, I think. It's a thing that basically every game engine uses, which works like that. You have 2 models, number 1 and number 2. Number 2 is, let me just quickly make it ugly. It's much uglier than number 1. And this works this way. If you are close to a soldier and he has his bandana on his head, you will see number 1. But as you go a bit further away from here, the game will somewhat change the model from 1 to 2. And now, instead of loading 500 vertices, you only have to load 150 vertices. And it will look, from a distance, it will look basically the same. And this is what LODs are. You basically have a couple of uglier versions of your model set up only for the game to have them in case you will just wander away from it. Yeah, I do agree with you, Panzer. It is a lame name, and I think it's lame because it is level of detail, but it's also like geometry LODs and all the other LODs which are not about detail but about game physics are also LODs. But it's just naming. It doesn't have to make sense. It was made by probably some IT people, so don't judge them. They've got difficult lives. Anyway, with a very simple models like this, 3 LODs is completely enough. Even 2 would be good, but let's go with 3 because we are lucky today. And one important thing, how to make those LODs, you just copy paste. You select it, copy paste, like that. Don't move it, never move it, and give it a different name. It's also very important that you set up the textures first, and the texture and the revert RV mount first, so then when you copy paste, they will be still here, so you wouldn't have to define them again. Okay, so number 1 is number 1, we don't touch it. Number 2, we have to first setup number 2 here, which will tell the Arma engine, oh, this is the one that's like, not the first one, but the second one, the uglier one. Not the ugliest one though, because the ugliest one is number 3. So we select number 3 and set up custom distance 3. You can set it up like 1000, but that makes no sense. Arma will basically know based on your, I think it's based on your PC, based on your performance, and basically on Arma having a good day, which lot it will display, but it works relatively good, so let's just don't judge anybody. Okay, so we've got number 1, 2, and 3 defined good, but they are not ugly yet. So let's make them ugly. We go to modifiers and then we reduce the amount of vertices by, let's say, half, and the other one will be half of the previous one, so it's a quarter of the first one. It's very simple. I think it's good enough. It's like, yeah, 147 vets. It's really a small amount. I like it. Another thing, okay, we've got 3 LODs, which are resolution LODs. That's what we need. I forgot about something, but I will... Okay. And now I have to delete. Because I told you about one thing and I didn't tell you about the other thing. I'm sorry. I mean, I could have saved them, but just to make it quick, easier. Whoa. You want to tell Arma, hey, wear it on head. And to do that, first you have to get rid of all of those selections here, which are here because I have no idea why they are here. They shouldn't be here, no, but well, they are. Oh god, Panzer is going crazy. Weight painting crimes against humanity. Now we know. What we're gonna do now is, as I said, tell Arma, hey Arma, wear it on your head, not on your hips, not on your legs, not on your... I don't know. It also isn't supposed to float around you, because if you don't do it, the bandana will basically float around the soldiers, either on the ground or around his balls, literally. So if you happen to make a headgear and it floats around the balls of your soldiers, it's because you failed at doing this thing. Alright, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna define a vertex groups. We click plus, we go basically to here to object data. Yeah, it's called object data. Data. We create a new group and we rename it head. Rename it head, not head 1, not headling, not head 2, just head. I will explain later, just trust me now. Make it head and click assign. Select everything and click assign. You can try if it works by deselecting everything, clicking on the head and clicking select. There it goes, everything is a head. Now, it's a simple headwear, so you don't need anything else apart from the head. Because, okay, head is... okay, it will be worn on the head, but let's say you've got a hood, and the hood basically is worn on the head, but it also covers a bit of your neck and your shoulders. And then you will have to tell Arma, hey, this part is going with shoulders, this part is going with neck, this part is going with the head, which is called weighting, and not weighting, weighting, god damn it. It's spelled with W-E-I-G-H-T for you people that don't understand me. I'm really sorry, I'm not a native speaker. But as I said, it's a simple thingy. You go with head, like 90% of the headwear will just go with head. And okay, so we've got the head, we've got the texture. Now it is the time to make LODs. So once again, we create a LOD. We set up the custom distance to 2. We decimate it by half and apply. We can take this one, set it to 3, name it 3, and decimate by another half because we've copied the second one, so the third one is a half of the previous one. And another thing that we want to do is copy paste the second one, rename it to shadow. Here you go to shadow volume and stay with 1. Okay, so basically what I did here was I have created a shadow LOD, so a object that will not be visible in game, but it will be visible as shadow. It will block light. It's very important for Arma to have a shadow LOD, because otherwise it will cast no shadow, or the shadow will be calculated based on resolution LOD, which is terrible because the resolution LOD is quite heavy. I mean, let's say you've got a weapon which has like a 5,000 vertices, and then you can make a shadow of it with like 500, which will still look good. But no, when you don't do that, the Arma will calculate shadow with all that 5,000 vertices, and the GPU, the CPU, everything will cry, and probably FBI will come to your house and take you to the prison because you don't do that. You don't want Arma to calculate shadow LOD from all those thousands of vertices, like every single rivet which is modeled, or some small touches that you've put there to look good. They don't have to be on shadow LOD. So let's take a simple one and make a shadow out of it. Okay, and another important thing. Shadow is basically cast by something which looks like... it's basically supposed to be cast by the model. But Arma works like this, and you want to hide it inside. You press Alt-S, it is very important. You press Alt-S, and you move your mouse a bit to hide it all inside the model that you have. Otherwise, it will probably create some very nasty artifacts. Panzer says that there is only a few cases where a res LOD shadow is acceptable, like a clutter rock or something super simple. Yes, exactly. If it's very, very, very simple. I mean, this one is simple, that's why we're using like the second one, and we don't give two fucks about it. Okay, so we've got it. We've got the shadow, and that's all that you are supposed to do here in Blender. Just to make sure, let's select everything, reset the location, rotation, and scale. And let's export it. Let's export it as P3D. This is going to be good. Let's call it bandana.p3d, and let's export it. And now it should appear here. Banana. You open the banana. Let's check out the... Whoopsie daisy. It says we've got some issue in our RV mount. Line 62. Oh god. Edit with Notepad. Line 62 textures. Okay, see, we've got those quotation marks doubled. Let's go now. Ta 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 ta. It's very dark. And if it's very dark, that means probably the AS map is not working properly. let's take a look at it. Okay, first, troubleshooting. Is the RV mat defined? It is. It is. Okay, let's take a look. Take a look what is inside our RV mat. We've got yes. It looks good. I don't know what might be the issue, but I will just do what I usually do, which means I will take my RV mat from somewhere else. Okay, if you ever happen to have such an issue, I mean, if you use an RV mat and it's bad, and it's probably because you have copied RV mat that was either fucked up by Bohemia and is not used, or it's just used this way that it would work with other things but not with yours. In this case, you can just ask me, hey mate, what should I do? Can you give me your RV mat? Yes, I can. No, it's still very dark. That's very odd. I wonder if it will look like this also in game. How about seconds? Recalculate normals. 5, I think? Yeah. Nah. I don't even know if the heavy mat is working actually, because I cannot see the normal one, normal map. I think it doesn't actually, because there is like no. I don't know really. Okay, cut touch on data, bandana, RV mat. Okay, the AS is alright. The SMDA is alright. I don't really like that. You can always trust Bulldozer to have strange lightning. That's what Panzer says, and that's pretty much what I'm gonna do, because I cannot find any reason why wouldn't it work. And let's just check it out in game. Okay, so you've got your model, and let's just assume it worked perfectly. Well, on the other hand, it's also an important thing to note that it's Bulldozer, and when you move around the object, the lightning doesn't really move, because it's not like you rotate the object. I think it's like you rotate the camera around it, and the lightning is gonna be fucked up anyway because it's Arma. And I think one thing, okay, maybe we have some doubles. No, I don't know. Okay, let's just leave it. You've got your resolution loads, you've got your shadow load. Now what you're gonna do is just create, make a new one. Make a new load, which will be absolutely empty if you go there. And you want to rename it to view pilot. This is because if you are piloting yourself, which basically in terms of Arma is playing a soldier, a soldier is a vehicle and you are a pilot of it. You cannot get out, but you are a pilot, so basically a view seen by pilot is defined here, and what you want to see is nothing, because you might have some caps, helmets, masks that will cover your face, but you don't want to see them in front of your face in game, because it's just retarded. That's not how your brain works. If you've got something that is obscuring your vision, your brain will start ignoring it, and you wouldn't like be bothered by it. And it's like it never happens in game. It would be very like uncomfortable to see that. I mean, in some very specified cases, like wearing a gas mask or something like this, you can use this view pilot LOD to make some nice effects, and there's nothing bad about it. But you don't want to have like your bandana visible on your like above your eyeballs, because you don't see your head when you're a pilot. I mean, when you're a character, you don't see like your eyeballs from inside, and therefore you will just see floating bandana above your head. I mean, above your place of view. So just keep as empty view pilot LOD, and the same thing goes for geometry. Create a new and name it, and set it to geometry, and this basically tells that the bandana has no physics to it if it's empty. But important thing, auto center 0, no space, auto center 0. You set it up here in the properties. If you don't set up auto center 0 property, guess what? It won't work. It will appear somewhere. It won't appear at all. It will do very strange things. Very interestingly, whatever you do, you always put an auto center 0 in geometry LOD, like a auto center property in geometry LOD. And I have no idea why it's not default, but if you don't do that, Arma will just go crazy with you. It's like, I don't know, it's like, I cannot even compare it to anything. Okay, let's save it. That's basically, I think that's everything you need. I'm almost sure I haven't forgot about anything. Basically, resolution LOD, shadow, view pilot, and geometry. And save. Now. Let's go to our P drive. I will just go to the toe and take some config from there, which will be a headgear config for everything for now and the model. Okay, where do you get those things from? Once again, you go to your Arma free samples and to the add-ons, and then you go to character. There we are. And in the character, you've got config and you've got model. The model is very important thing. Let's start with it. Let's take it here, copy it, open our Cartesian folder. Yeah, Cartesian, okay. Let's paste it here. The model has to be where the model is. The model has to be where the model is. The model.cfg, which is a text file, I mean configuration file, has to be where the p3d model is. That was a legit sentence. When you open it, you can see that basically, I will explain it to you. This tells Arma that there is pelvis, which is a selection. And what is a selection? It's actually a skeleton bone, but it's a selection in Object Builder. I will tell you what's a selection. Let's go back to our bandana and take a look at this. The head is our selection. We've made it in Blender. We've selected everything and added everything to head. To tell Arma, hey, let's follow the head. So, it says that there is pelvis, there is spine, there is weapon, there is thighs, chop right. A lot of nice things, and also there is head somewhere. Yeah, there it is, head. And head is following neck, and neck is following neck, and neck is following spine. That's what it says. But the very, very important thing, at the end, there are definitions. Actually, why are they inside here? They should be outside, I think. Let me just check on the other in the other file. Yeah, those aren't outside. That's a surprise. I've never realized that those definitions here are inside the CFG models class. Okay, doesn't matter. A quick explanation what's going on here. So there is this thing called inheritance, where classes, which are basically objects in Arma, inherit from some other classes, from some other objects, then inherit some parameters or way of being calculated, being simulated in the game. It's very, very useful because if you think about it, and if you had like you have a weapon, so a weapon has some functionality, like it is in game, it can fire, it can be wielded by soldier, it can have multiple textures, it can have optics, it can, I don't know, it can be stored in the backpack and in a chest, and there is, I mean, each of those things has to be somewhat described. I mean, you have to tell Arma, hey, it's that. You can do all those things with this class. And it would be quite difficult if you had to like copy paste or basically write down all those things that you can do or describe how to simulate a certain model in Arma. Yeah, basically do it for every model. So to avoid it, you can inherit. So you create a class which is object. Object is a thing in Arma that basically exists and is in Arsenal, let's say. And then you inherit from this class. So you create another class which inherits from object, so it will have the same functionality as the object. And you added some more functionality. Let's say we create a class weapon, which will inherit from class object. So we've got a weapon that can be that has the object's properties, and we can now define that it will fire and it can be carried by a soldier, and it will be stored like in crates. For example, we've got these things added. And then we can create another class, which is, let's say, M16, which will inherit from weapon. So it will inherit both from weapon and object, which is above the weapon. I hope I'm not going like too far. It's basically like parents and children. That's why it calls inheritance. You've got your mom and your dad, and they gave you some of your functionalities. I mean, they apropos. I was interrupted by my dad when I started talking about parents. Anyway, your parents will basically, you will inherit some things from your parents, By default, you're inheriting everything from your parents, but you can change some things. For example, like we will do in the near future, we will inherit from a helmet, but we will not have any armor. We will change some things that we've inherited. And I mean, that's a very basic thought behind inheritance. So what you do here? You inherit from Arma, and you don't want to inherit, like you don't want to make a free headgear example inherit from Arma. You want to make your bandana inherit from Arma. So that's what you do. You get your model CFG where the bandana is, then you take the P3D name and put it here. So class bandana will inherit from Arma. So what happens now? The model, the P3D which you have here, will take a look at this model file, and it will see, oh hello, there are those bones. Oh, and amongst those bones there is head. And I know that head, what head is. I mean, I have a head. I am a head basically. So I should follow it. So I know that it follows neck. I mean, it follows neck 1, and neck 1 follows neck, and the neck follows spine 3, and the game understands it. Like, it's perfectly alright for it. So you have to just specify that bandana is a part of Arma, so it would understand that it's part of a soldier, not like something which is death, because Arma wouldn't understand what the fuck is it. Like, you give it a model, and what the fuck is it supposed to do with it? You have to tell the Arma, this is a piece of Arma, it will follow the soldier, and it's alright. That's basically all you have to do in terms of its movement, because now we're gonna make it something that you can put on your head. So that was the first thing, the model CFG. Now you need a config for headgear, which is extremely simple. Okay, so the configuration file consists of CFG patches, which is basically telling Arma, hello, this is a add-on. This is something that will be loaded by the engine, the end. And this consists of such things, like, this consists of such weapons, and, whoops, see daisy. And it requires version 01 and requires add-ons, A3 characters F. Doesn't really matter, it's default. Important thing is, here you have to put your bandana. So, you start with a tag. You have to name it, you have to give the bandana some class. It's a very, very good thing to start with a tag of your project. Because if you don't do that, there is a very, very slight possibility that somebody on Earth will make the same class name, and if it happens, and if you load two add-ons that have the same class names, the magic will happen. Nobody knows what will happen. I mean, nobody knows. Nobody knows what the outcome will be, but everybody knows. I mean, people that know how the classes work will tell you that it will fuck up everything. I mean, not everything, but those two things they will just start. They wouldn't know what to do. I mean, Arma would be like, this is a bandana and this is a bandana. I mean, let's call it bandana. And I'm like 90% sure that this class exists already in game. Or this class exists somewhere in game. And if it's like, Arma doesn't understand that some mods, I mean, some classes are part of this mod and some classes are part of the other mod. It will just get all the classes to it and it will calculate them all together. And if it's found like two classes which are bandana, the Arma will just merge it together and it will form a giant clusterfuck of who knows what. Therefore, you start with tag, and this is very unlikely that somebody made a TIOW bandana, class, but for example you can make it red bandana, so you can make some other bandanas later on. I think you should also put it in yeah, in quotation marks. And all the classes you'll be defining here, lower B, below the patches, have to be here. So let's go further. Basically, headgear is a weapon. Interesting. And what you want to do is you want to inherit from helmet B. H helmet B, that's what also the sample tell you. Yep, there we go. We are in the samples. Oh god, what's going on here? CFG headgear, yes. We can open a sample, a headgear config, which is a clusterfuck of stuff. But basically I want to take a look at it. First, I mean, there is no patches because it's a HPP file, which will be then included into config. Doesn't really matter. Basically everything is here, but most of this stuff isn't very interesting. So for the very basic thing, you really need this much. Later on you can take a look at this, and for example you'd like to add mass. Okay, let's do it. Let's copy this. It's important to take a look. This is like a headgear which is inheriting from item core, alright. And then in class item info, so right here you set up the mass and you're done. Let's give it a low mass, like 2. But anyway, let's get back here. I started talking about you leave those things. Okay, it's basically you are telling Arma, I will be defining a weapon, and you open brackets, and inside of it you are defining a weapon, and then you say, oi Arma, let's take a look at class item core, which is necessary to call class HElmetB, and this class is, as I told you, exactly what you are going to base every headgear on. I mean, the first one you do probably, and the other ones will be based on yours, because that's how inheritance works. And then it says, hello, there is a class item info inside the HElmetB, which inherits from item core, blah 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 blah, doesn't really matter, not very interesting. And now you are going to define your class, the bandana. So you define class, which will inherit from HElmetB. So it will basically, if you do something like that, you will basically have a helmet, which is here. Which is, I think, like a basic Bluetooth helmet. I don't remember. But you want to make it, give it a author, which is me in this case. Although obviously it wouldn't be me in your mod. You're going to give it a name, which will be Kata-chan bandana. You want it to have a picture, which is a UI picture. You don't really have to have it, so I will just leave it like that. Creating pictures is very easy. You just make a simple picture 512 or by 512, and you save it as PNG or PAA, and then you have it. But it's not a topic for today. And then, very important thing, you have to tell Arma where is the bandana. It's here. Hold up. Okay. You don't want to delete the quotation marks. And it's in 40k tau katachan, and it's called bandana.p3d. And here you wanna just copy paste it. Because actually, and of course don't forget the semicolon. Actually, this is what will appear on the ground, and this is what will appear on your head. You want it? No, you want basically the same things here and here. Okay, and this is config. This is model. You've got those two done. You've got the bandana. I think it's time to run PBO project, which is a oh god, what is it? It's a software created by Mikiro, a guy who is very good at software, and he created it. It's very helpful at debugging, but sometimes will also give you a headache. But if you give it a shitty code, it will just give you a lot of errors, and that's why it's good. You wouldn't expect it to work perfectly if you don't give it a good code. Anyway, we want to set it up, let's say, in my PP mode, which is basically everything I do from time to time. Want to go ahead and try and crunch it. Of course, we've got an error. What's going on? Okay, it's missing file. Bandana p3d 40k down. So I think it's an error in RVMAT. Is it a typo? No, it's not. Alright. So did I once again same error? I think that's why the error get good. Yes. I think that's exactly why the preview wasn't working here properly. What the hell is wrong with this RVMAT? I feel like I've had this problem before. Okay, I think it's no, because it also sometimes fixes it. Banana p3d is missing 40k tau catachan data bandana. But if you go to 40k tau catachan data bandana no HQ, the files are here. Well, this is daily dose of Arma for you. Let's take a look at the RVMAT. Okay, so do you have the... Oh! I don't have the PIA at the end of the maps. This is a very good boy, my boy Panzer. Yes! That's what you have to do. And now we gonna see how it works. Hey, it's ugly. Why is it so ugly? The shadow is somewhat bad. I don't know. Let's take a look at it in the game. Let's see though. The specularity, I think, is a bit odd, but whatever. I'm gonna see it in game. Alright, I think it crunched. Did it? No, it didn't. Let's do it again. Haha! No errors! Not at all. Now it's time. Now is the big day for us. After only like a 4 hours, we've made it. That's actually a very good point, Tsunami. I should do that. And Tsunami said that turning on the extensions in Windows Explorer would be a good idea, and yeah, that would be a good idea. Anyway, let's do it. Oh my god, no, it's not gonna work. I just realized something. Let's get back here, the shadow volume, and you take a look at it. Very important thing. You have to go to transform 3D and no, to structure, topology, and you want to close it. Because you remember when I told you that we want to delete everything that is not visible? Well, now we're gonna need it. Hey. Because if the shadow LOD is open, it will give you a lot of problems. Also, just for the lulz, we can triangulate it and make it sharp, not for the lulz. It has to be sharp and it has to be triangulated all. Otherwise, the glitches will be all over the place. No, stop. Right, let's repack it. And let's go. Yeah, Panzer is making a good point because PBO project will give you more errors than the Arma free software used to pack it. The PBO create? I don't even know. Add-on creator, add-on maker, something like that. I don't even know the name of it. It will give you more errors, and it will give you errors that will seem to you like stupid errors, but well, they will be on point. Like the PBO project really fixes a lot of issues that would otherwise just be packed by Arma free custom packing software, and you will just have a glitchy asset in game that will probably not even appear anywhere, or will eat all of your dreams and soul and money and GPU and CPU and everything you have in your life. Yes. No open faces is asking Panzer. Why? What are you asking about? Let's go. I don't have Sonara, so let's go to here. Because it's a jungle, good old jungle map. Shadow LOD from Mariel, never mind. Okay. Let's go with. Let's go with civilian. I really like how Bega looks like this in this game, but alright. Let's go, let's edit his inventory, go here, and there should be a Kazakhstan bandana. There we go. Fuck yeah, 4 hours of work. We've got the bandana into the game, but jeez, it shouldn't be as reflective as it is, but yeah. Let's move it. Let's go with it. Yeah, it's even moving with my head, and it has like, you know, the detail, the everything on it. You're gonna love it. Everybody's gonna love it. Yes, it is very shiny, but okay. I'm just gonna make it less shiny. No fucking problem, you know. We go here. We go fucking here. We go from like 40 to 10. We go from this, like add a 0 here, a 0 here, and a 0 here, and make it 10 times less shiny because we fucking can. And nothing can stop us now while we are debugging it, because it's working now. It's just pure satisfaction and creating new and debugging, obviously, and making it just a bit better. But it's great already. See, it's not shiny at all. Let's repack it, save it, repack it. God damn it, Tsunami. No, Tsunami is not from there. Tsunami is from NO4. I mean, he's also from the land that doesn't exist, but yes. And he refused to be on our Tau beta testing. By the way, if anybody's wondering how the beta testings went, I was having like a tiny little bit of internet issues like a day before it. So I thought to myself, it's gonna be good. I mean, even if I'm gonna be disconnected from time to time, it's alright, because I'm just a Zeus and people will keep playing because it's not on my server. And I thought to myself, yeah, it will be good. And then suddenly, like 7 PM, when I was starting the stream, after like 2 minutes, my internet went absolutely down, like dead. Yes, and that's how it went. I mean, the guys played it, but without Zeus. Yes, long story short, if anybody's wondering how the beta testing went, it didn't. That's what Tsunami said. That's pretty much true. I mean, the boys played the mission and they gave me some really nice feedback, especially the guys that are forming a Tau unit for the Terrorist Only War mod. RIP. Yes, RIP. Once again, Beggar. Let's give it some... No, not the plasma. Yeah, let's give it nice uniform. Oh shit, oh god, what's going on? Well, I want something that looks Kata-chan. Kinda. But I don't have Apex, so fuck me. Nah. I think it's gonna be as good as it gets. Yeah, it's gonna be as good as it gets, probably. We can give it like a vest, the green one. Yes. And a Kata-chan. Oh yeah, now it's very red. You probably wanna turn down the emissive a bit, but it's alright. Okay, can we make him any more Kata-chan? I don't think so. Throw him in the forest because that's what Kata-chan does. Let's now make it like morning, and obviously a lot of rain. Fucking rain. Lot of rain. A bit late. Yes, so this is pretty much as Katachan as you can get with our current assets. I mean, Emperor have mercy on Soko's soul for loving the tower. I'm not like loving the tower, I just like the high tech. And yeah, scratchy bed. Oh, actually, yeah, all together is always best. This is actually more. Yeah, this is really Katachan now. I mean, I like it. Yeah, custom regimen. Okay, how long was the stream? Can I? Okay, I will just check it later, but fuck me, it was long. Yes, it went. It took me some time, and that's basically what you would expect. But on the other hand, if I wasn't like describing what I'm doing and speaking all about it, it would go like faster. I think like 2 hours or hour and a half for such an asset is good enough. Yeah. Yeah, so I think I will be going off now because it took some time and energy from me, and I hope I will do my best to export it to YouTube so people can watch it and get inspired to create content and make There Is Only War great again. Yes. So anyways, thanks for watching, and thanks for staying with me and being active on the channel. It was a very, very pleasant stream for me. Have a good day or good night or whatever. Take care.